Okay, no, we're discussing the use of lashon and language, and we should go ahead and speak in a proper way. We concluded we came to the conclusion that when it says or, it means what? It means light. It means night. It means night, and we concluded with a nice Geshmak Ma'aser of Yehuda and Beseira that he sat in the tzivim and he was mashpia all over. He brought in a beautiful. The gra was unbelievable. No guys, but the gra, he had no karka. It was a haladik gra, and so now we're just finishing up a little bit of that Inyan. So we're up to Gimel Amid base. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines from the bottom. Rav Kana Cholish. Rav Kana, he got sick. But Rabbanan Rishua Bered Ravidi. The Rabbanan sent Rishua Bered Ravidi, sent him there to go ahead and be Mavakachola. However, Amuzil Bodik Maidini, go see what's with him. Asa, Rav Yeshua Bered Ravidi came and Ashkacho, and he found that the Noyach Nafshe, he found that Rav Kahana had been nifta. So Kari Lavushe, he went ahead and he ripped his clothes. However, he put the rip in the back. He didn't want to go walk in with the rip baguette like to announce the Vavelis, so he put it in the back. Bachi Viasi. Amulay Noach Nafshi. They said, did he die? Rav Kahana died. Samalhu. Anola Kamim, I didn't say anything. Umoitzi Diba who ksil. Someone's Moitzi Diba is ksil. It's interesting. I find different type of people. Some people, I don't know, they always inform me of bad news. Some people, I associate them. There used to be a little Abner. The guy used to walk around with a cloud over his head. I forgot his name, a black cloud over his head. He was a foreboding of bad news. I know people, they don't tell anything. They never tell bad news. Even though they know the bad news, they just want to say the bad news. The Chayr is a source. You don't have to be the forbearer. People find that quick enough. Yochanan Chakuka. Yochanan, he came from a town called Chakuka, right? Places Springs, it was in the Sefer Yeshua, or it was his Chakuk is a Sefer. Nafil Kriyai. So he went to the boondocks. He went to check on his crops. He also, or other people's crops. Amalei said Chita Nasu Yafais. Again, the best crop to plant is wheat, right? This is before gluten free, right? So Chita Nasu Yafais they were good. Amalehem Soirim Nasu Yafais. And then the Chita Mataka lousy, but he didn't want to say that. So what did he say? So the barley's good. Now barley is the fodder for cows. That's what animals eat that. So Amalei, they said, say uvaser l'susim l'chamorim. Go inform the horses and donkeys. T'chsiv hasa'orim v'hateven l'susim v'l'rochesh. The slicing v'teven l'susim l'rochesh are fierce horses. So my havilei l'meim. They said it sarcastically. So the Gemara says, my havilei l'meim. He didn't want to go ahead and say what? That the wheat is not good. So he said, Slirim. What was he supposed to say? So they said, last year Taka was good wheat. How's the wheat? Last year Taka was good wheat. That was it. And they would get the message. Inami Adoshim Nasu Yafis. They could have said the Adoshim, the lentils were good. In other words, this is a continuation of language, what to say, what not to say, and we should all learn from this. More of the same. Rav Bar Achva de Reb Chia. Rav was the son of the brother of Reb Chia. Reb Chia was his uncle. Very often in Shas, Rav says Chavivi. When he says Chavivi, it's always Reb Chia, his uncle, called him Chavivi. Ubar Achte, and also he was the son of Reb Chia's sister. Reb Chia had a brother and a sister that were not, one was from one father, one from the mother. So they were like, yours and mine. And Kisolik, when Rav went from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, Lahasa, Amalei, they asked him, Ivu Kayim, is your father Ivu alive? Reb Chia wanted to know if his brother was alive. Amalei, Ima Kayemes, his mother's name is Ima. Ima Kayemes? Amalei, Ima Kayemes? So Amalei, Ivu Kayim, is Ivu Kayim? In other words, Rav was telling them that they were both nifta. Rav was telling them that, in fact, they were both nifta. So Amalei, the Shamei, so Reb Chia told his Shamis, Cholitzli Minoli, take off my shoe, which is a symbol of Avelis, take off my shoe, and take my kalim afterwards to the Beis HaMerchatz. Shemamina class. We hear three things in this. Shemamina, Avol Asa Benilas a sandal. Then Avos also to wear shoes because we see that what as soon as he had the shmua, he took off his shoe. The fact that he went to the Beis HaMerchatz, right? The fact that he made the message shows that what a shmua rechoika. This was after 30 days that you don't have to go ahead and keep more than 1 day of avelis. You don't have to keep more than 1 day of avelis. Ushmamino mitzvah sayom kikulo, that even the 1 day you only have to keep part of the day and not the whole day, right? So therefore, we learned these 3 things from there.
It's not for fathers, only for parents. It's more than 30 days. Right?
This is his brother. This is being about a brother. This being about a brother. Hahu the Amad. This person said, "Doino idini." The person said, "Any masu matni have him. Let's go to court right away before pshara compromise. Let's go to court." The guys is accustomed to say, "Let's go to court." So Amr Shmamina midon kaasi Shmamina. That what he said. We came from Don. The Chsiv, it says in the Birchas Yaakov, guys, Don Yodin Amoy Kachat Shiftei Yisrael. Don really means that he'll revenge, it says, and he was Nisnava on Shimshon, right? But again, so here, Don Yodin Amoy, Don will judge. So right away, if you're saying go to court, judge, it must be that you're from Don. Ahu Davi Ka'ozl B'Omar Akef Yoma Asisna Barasa. I should share, the Yam should share, and I should build a palace. The guy wanted to live in Malibu. He liked the seashore. Right? You like to see she wanted water. People, what waterfront property? It's supposed to be a premium until Sandy comes along, and then you hope you had a good policy, right? Because Batku, Vashkachu, they went and they found the Mizvulin Kasi. They went and they found that it was Mizvulin. The Chsiv, Zvulun L'Chayfyam and Mishkain. The Zvulun would go ahead and he would be by the seashore. So again, interesting. Sometimes what a person speaks is indicative of where he comes from, right? So we say you are what you eat, you are what you speak, right? Okay, now getting back to, I'm sorry to inform you, we finished Agarta, back to Masechta, right? So now, the Kaimalon, the Kula Alma, or Urshahu, we said, guys, there was Machloikis Rav Huna of Yehuda. We thought initially that Rav Huna said, you go ahead and you check in the morning, and we concluded that it really means the night. However, in the place of Rav Huna, Nagi, they called night Nagi. So now that you concluded, everyone, there is no machlokes, everyone holds that you do the bedika at night. Michti, Bein l'Rav Yehuda, Bein l'Rav Meya. We're going to see machlokes later on. At which point in time, how long could you eat chametz on the day of the 14th? Right? How long can you? So we're going to see the machlokes. Now, Bein l'Rav Yehuda, chametz ain't oiser. We'll have a pasuk, guys. This is not the main sugya. It's brought there. I got that from 6 hours on in the day. You can't eat chametz. You can't eat chametz, even though it's Yudalid. Even though Pesach doesn't start until Tesvav at night, right? We're going to have this unbelievable chumrah of chametz during the day. We take it for granted, right? Think about it, guys. When it says how many days is Pesach, 7 days, right? So what's the first day of Pesach? Tesvav, yeah. Yet we have all these halachas of Yudalid. We're going to get into that Pesach Hashem. Right? Okay, now. So Mishnah shows everyone to Moed, everyone Midaraisa, 6 hours in the day, and a perfect day. Let's make it, guys. So 6 a.m. at 12 o'clock, forget it, right? After 12 o'clock, the Araisa is chametz. V'nivdaik b'sheish. So now you all said you check when the night before. Why don't you check in the 6th hour? Meaning, doesn't mean the 6th hour. It means that day. It's what. As long as you make sure there's no chametz in your rishus from 12 o'clock, you should be cool. Why are you checking the night before? Why are you checking the night before? What are you going to say? It's reason makdim mitzvahs. Now, it's reason makdim mitzvahs. Like right now, guys, let's start drinking. We'll get ready for Purim, right? It's reason makdim like this. Okay? It's reason makdim. We'll start drinking now. Okay? There's a time frame within proximity of a mitzvah where you should be zaris. So now you're going to tell me you're going to be Zoris 12 a.m., 12 p.m. is Issa, right? So when you're checking for chametz, we're checking before it says, right? You're checking well before, the night before. Says the Gemara, lived like mitzafra. It should be enough to check, let's say, from 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. It should be enough the morning to be Mekayim's reason Makdimin. Why do you have to chuck it back a whole night, right? Says the Gemara, the Chsiv. Now, what do we know from Mila? It says Ubayim Hashmini Yimol B'Sar Lasai, and on the 8th day you do Mila on the B'Sar of the foreskin. Vitanya Be'emes kolayim kula, kosher lemila. The whole day 8 is kosher lemila. Ella, why do we do it in the Shachris? Shezrizim akdim lemitzvus. Now, how do you know? Shnemar vayashkim Avram b'bayker, and Avram got up in the morning. It says by the Akedah, Avram got up in the morning. Okay, so the Mela.
The far night.
Huh?
If we're worried about Zrizos, right? The bris milah could do it by Marav the night before also.
Or by Yom Hashmini. It says by Yom Hashmini. So you're asking what Yom? It starts at night. I think the Gemara asks it in Shabbos we had. But Yom Hashmini means Yom Hashmini. Now, Vayashkim Abayka is written by the Akedah guys. It's a very nice Rashi. Very nice Rashi. Mudaik, a beautiful shot in Rashi. Let's see Rashi. Nivdak mitzafra, right before it gets wide, about 6 lines up. The Ika hakdom is rizim. You'll find enough to be magnifies rizim. Kida ashachinu gabe mila, like we find by Mila that they did it in the beginning of the day. Ubiz rusay seha de Avraham, and the zrisis of Avram shenemar by Yashkim Avram baboiker. Shaloi himtim ad hanetzachama. He didn't wait till nates. Umikomokim belayla hiktim. He didn't go all the way. So I saw a very beautiful shot. I'm bringing it in because you guys should know this. Go back to, it's too early to start forgetting this after, right? So let's go back to Beis Amid Aleph, right? Beis Amid Aleph, like Pesachim, it's like you think you have a month. I say the word Erev and you're still shaking, guys, right? You're not that far away. So Beis, the Gemara asks, what's Or? What was the first proof? From Yosef's brothers. HaBoiker Or v'anoshim sholchu. The morning came and the brothers were sent. Right? What do we see? Alma we say, Or Yamamahu. Gemara asks, Nikasiv ha'or boiker, HaBoiker Or kasiv. Kimanda Amat Stafra Noha, that it says like the one who says that it became light. And we learn from Rabbi Yudam Rav, so why do we learn from there? We learn Midas Derech Eretz, that the brothers, when did they leave? They left when it was light. They left. When is the first light, guys? It's Nates. Yeah? The first light is Nates. The first light is Alois, excuse me. The first light is Alois, yeah? So now, if Avram would have gone ahead and been Magdim Ba'alois, maybe he would have done it because of Kitoiv. That Avram set out for the Makam of the Akedah, maybe it's like the brothers, they set out at Alois. So what does Rashi tell you? When was he Zoras at which time? Netzachama. That's why it's a raya. In other words, the fact that he set out at a certain time, we want to bring a raya that he's Zoras, right? If he would have set out of Alois, you have no raya that Avram was Zoras. You could have said he's no different than the brothers of Yosef. Why did he set out at that time? Alois is the time of Kitoiv. So when did he first go ahead and do it? Shas Nates. So you see that's the din of Zoras. And because there's no Zman of that wasn't the Kitoiv. So Rashi is very meduyik when he said that he said Afka Abnei Tzachama, Dafka at that time. Okay, the bottom line is we have a kasha. Why the night before? They could have gone ahead and says the Gemara, it has nothing to do with this reason. You're right. There's nothing to do with this reason. It's just practical. When you search for something, it's easier with a candle, and are they certainly with a flashlight at night rather than during the day. So it has nothing to do with Zman of Mitzvah. It has everything to do with its reason. Now, obviously, we're going to have a pasuk. We're going to have that. You can't start. Well, actually, you could do B'tika earlier. If you go away, you're supposed to be by day before you leave. Your Dalit is the closest to Erev Pesach. But they're not literally a Dalit. But it says over here, you do it at night. That's the time people are found at home. And that time, Or Haner is Yafal B'dika. We know during the day, Or is not so clear. At night, it illuminates. And therefore, what? Practically, that's the reason you do it. Practical reason. Nothing to do with halacha practice. Nothing to do with kavu of Zman mitzvah. Just practically do it at night. Rabbi says Abaye Hilkach. Since we're doing it in the time at night when it's Yafal B'dika, Haitzum Rabbanan, this young Talmidei Chachamim, Liftach be'idnei. They shouldn't begin if they have a kvias of learning. Liftach be'idnei be'urta detlisa de nagia barsa. They shouldn't go ahead and start the kvias in the evening of the 13th going into the 14th. Vilma mashchale shmaitza. Perhaps he'll be drawn after the sugya. V'asi lemnuye mi mitzvah, and we'll go ahead and be meineya from the mitzvah of bedika. So and we all know that halacha. That what we taka daven a little bit before it says, right? We taka daven that live. There's a Ravid says orla arba asa. The reason it says or is you're supposed to check at the beginning of or, not by says. You don't wait till full. If it starts getting light, as soon as it starts getting a little dark and or is the beginning of night, we begin to check. We don't wait till it says. We check earlier. So, boy, my name Rav Nachman Yitzchak. Hamasker ba'is lechaver. Okay, it's a little halachas now. Hamasker ba'is lechaver. Someone rents a house ba'arba asa on the 14th. Al mi livdaik. Who should check? Al hamasker livdaik on the owner of the house itself. Why? The chamra didehu. No, it's his chametz. It's his chametz, so he should check. Dilma ala seicha livdaik. Or maybe it's on the seicha to check. Why? He's sur b'shusekai, because it's in his rishus. It's in his rishus. The two stadim in the shaila. Do you go after who owns the chametz, or do you go after whose rishus is it in? Okay. Says Taisus. Alamask livdoik the chamiri didehu, ein lefarish hatam kivin the shalohu. Not because it belongs to him. In other words, since it's his and no one else can mevatel it, therefore he has to check. It's my chametz, right? Can you be mevatel my chametz? No. So you know why you have to check? Because as we're going to see, that bedika purpose, Taisus holds the purpose of bedika is to go ahead and to make sure there's no chametz in the house. So now. Then Cain, am I not in maskul chaver be dalit? I feel be gimel yischayev. Even your gimel yischayev hamaskul may high time live like. Oh, it's again as long as it belongs to him. Who cares if it's dalit? Your gimel, it belongs to him. There's the hakpad was daf govad on the 14th. Guys, if the tzad to make the masker check is because he owns it, why would you say if he rents it on the 14th, even if he rents it on the 13th, the chametz still belongs to him? Yeah. It must be something unique. The fact that he rented it on the 14th, right? There must be something unique that he rented on the 14th. Says Taisus here, what lakach mefarish ri the chamiri didehu. What does that mean? It's his chametz. The chal olav chiyav bedika sha'achas koydem sheskira. It's his chametz, and an hour before the rental took place, it was chal on him the chiyav to be. It's his chametz there. It's not in the rishus to the other guy yet. And since not that you own it, but since it's your chametz, the chiyuv to go ahead and search for that chametz is chal before the actual skiris. That's the tzad to say only he could do it, right? But the other way, conversely, is no. Once it's out of your rishus, it's out of your rishus. So Taisus gives a nice lumdus. Why the 14th? Because the 14th is a chalois of a chiyuv. When it's a chalois of a chiyuv, it works. When the chiyuv goes and takes place, then it makes sense that you should be the one. So it's a little lumdus in Taisus. Huh?
The one that's renting it. He rented the place, and now it's like agag.
Why again? It's in his rishus. You don't have to. It's in his rishus. You don't need chatzah. It's in his rishus.
No, it's not. Because he's saying if it's.
I want to ask a question. If I drop my my expensive pet in your house, are you kinda? It's in your chatzah. You kinda?
Yeah. Why not?
Right.
The whole problem, Rabbi. The whole problem is by your matzeh. So the person that
we're gonna get by your matzeh is not on your dalit. It's only on tesvav.
Yeah, but he's the person that's renting it is going to have the problem because he's there.
It's not his chametz. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get into. I'm gonna spend time. I'm gonna finish this block. We're gonna go through the sugya a little bit of what we do, why we do it. Okay, we're getting to a little bit. Okay, so you'll understand the Bez Hashem. There are a few different sheetahs. We'll see.
What if the tenant returns possession on the 14th to the owner?
What do you mean? He's not happy with the rental.
No. He was renting it for 2 years. On the 14th, he gave it back to the landlord.
So I guess he would have been considered the soichu with the master at the same time, right? According to Tosfos, let's say that Sad, right? He would be both, right? He would be in his possession, and he would have been chal the chiyuv. When the chiyuv is chal, he would have been considered the master also, right? The guy, the other guy, the only Sad, the guy is it's the owner's chametz, right? Well, according to you, it's the same guy.
No, but now it's the tenant's comments and he's delivering possession back to the landlord.
It's-
The first time
no, but-
the tenant lived there for 5 years.
Okay, now, so now he lived there for 5 years, so it's his chametz, right? It's his chametz. So now you're just reversing the roles. You're saying he's what? He's just role reversal. I guess it will be the same thing. I'm not sure. That's it. I think let's see that's sudden with a shaila. Anyway, so he wants to know: who do we go after? Do we go after the landlord? Do you go after the what? After the renter? The side of the landlord that it was chalachia. It's in rishus of this guy. You don't need chatzakina. It's in his rishus. That's enough. That's enough to have a chiyuv to be boidik on it, right? It's enough to be in your rishus. That's what you see in this Gemara. It doesn't have to. He doesn't own it. It's still the seichet. It's the maskes. It's the chayim. You don't even need chatzakina. In other words, it's the maskes chametz, and still, if the chiyuv, it's your house. It's in your rishus. You would have to do it, right? So forget chatzakina. I mean, I think we say that there's two things that are not in the person's rishus, and the Torah puts it in your rishus. Chametz misheshas l'mayla and bar b'shus harabim. I think that those are. I know those are two things. Anyway, says the Gemara. Let's see. Okay. Anyway, so says the Gemara. Toshma. Let's be pushed to the shaila. Hamaska ba'is lechaveiroi. If someone goes ahead and rents, ala soicha lasosh le'mezuzah. So it's mashma the soicha. So just like the soicha has a chiyuv to put the mezuzah, the soicha would have a chiyuv to go ahead and get rid of the chametz. Says in Hasam, Ha'amar Mashashia, mezuzah chayves adarhi. The mezuzah, the purpose of mezuzah guy is what? It's shmira. Who needs the shmira? The guy who's in the house, right? So therefore, over here, hachamai. In other words, tzushtel is not a big tzushtel. So Amalu Rav Nachman Yitzchak Tanina, you learned hamaskle by Chaver. It says openly, im atshalei masalei maftechos chalar ba'asa. If before he gives the keys, it's chalar ba'asa, alamaskle lived like. But once he gives the keys, then chalar ba'asa al seicha lived like. Okay, we have machlekes Rashi and Taisus. Let's go with Rashi. It says Rashi, right? Mesiras hamafteyach. That's 6 lines from the bottom. Who kinyan has schiris? That's the kinyan of a renter. Guys, you want to buy a field. We all know Masechta Kedushin. It's kaina kesev shtar chazaka. You want to be kaina an eved. Eved Ivri is kaina with kesef. Eved Kanani is kesef shtar chazaka. Eved Ivri is kesef. If you want to be kaina metaltalin, kesef not enough. We said you have to do Masira or Mashicha. There is a parsha of kinyanim. There's a parsha of how one acquires things. The kinyan Rashi suggests of schiris is Masira Samaftech. The guy could have paid your rent. He could have paid the head checks up front, but he didn't get the keys yet. You're the balabas. The mask is the balabas. Once you give him the keys, he's the guy. So what's your shaila? It's on the 14th day. You want to know who checks? Pesach. It depends. If you gave the keys to the Seicher, he's got it. And if you didn't, you have to. So Rashi learns a very interesting. Taisus has a problem with that kinyan, but again, that's where we can understand the sugya.
English law, by the way, is based on this.
Yeah.
It's from a Greek law. It's called livery of season. You have to have the transportation of keys from the owner to the tenant or the owner to the new purchaser.
Livery of what?
It's called livery of season. It's a Greek terminology.
It sounds like a salad. Interesting.
It represents that you have to. We have the concept of kinyan also in American law, which is based on Greek law, on philosophical law, which says you have to see the possession transfer by the keys from one part to the other.
Interesting.
A lot of Greek law, which is what American law is predicated upon.
Who's ripped off from us?
Ripped off from there.
Yeah, 1,000%. It's fascinating.
Rashi would hold Rabbi, even if you didn't pay the sky deal, but you got the keys.
Correct.
That's a kinyan.
Yeah, that's the kinyan. You have the keys. That's it. You got the keys to the car, right? You get the keys. Fantastic. Greek law, huh? Fantastic. Shkoyach Aaron. Says the Gemara Vayta. Boy mi name Rav Nachman Yitzchak. Hamaskle bayis lechaveiroi ba'arba asa. Now, cheskasei bad. The goyim cheskasei bad. Now, the night before you're supposed to check, right? You're supposed to check the night before, yeah. Now you're on the 14th day, and you rent. Clearly, who had a check? The balabas, right? Guys, the balabas had a check. So you're now on the 14th day, right? You assume that what? Not. Right? Why do you mean nafkamina? L'shali, go ask the guy. Did you check or not? Says Gemara, the lesser lie to the shul. He's not around to check. In the desk, he's not here. Now, la truche lahai, mai. We matriach him to check. Do we say the guy did the job on the night of the 14th, or do we say not? Is it cheskasei badik? Is this apartment in the chazaka of being badik from chametz or not? In other words, the mitzvah was supposed to be what? Done the night before. Do we say it what is cheskasei badik or not? In other words, a suffix, do we require the renter to go ahead and check the apartment? Al suffix, as stout. Do you require the renter to check? That's the shayla. Do you require the renter to check or not? Amalu of Nachma Yitzchak, Tinisua, you learned. Hakol ne'emanim al bir chametz. Everyone is believed al bir chametz to say on the 14th that the owner removed the chametz. Everyone's believed. Afilu nashim, afilu avodim, afilu ketanim. Now we don't believe nashim, we don't believe avodim, we don't believe ketanim. They're not kosher ladies, correct? They're not accepted testimony. Yet they're believed to say that what? That this apartment is squeaky clean. They're believed to say that. Now my time on him, they Amid Beis, why are they believed? My time on him, why are they believed? Lav mishum, is it not the cheskasei badik? Right? Is it not because what? The cheskasei badik that what? That it was checked. You know, it's be'emes. In other words, the mother's going to ask. So you're telling me what they say doesn't mean anything. But hang on a second. What you're telling me that what they say doesn't mean anything, right? It doesn't mean anything, right? Why? Because they're not believed. We'll get to Shabbos, okay? So therefore, why are they believed? Because really it's chasle badik. So therefore, the person will have to check. Now, says the Gemara. There are levels of, I don't know an English term for it. You'll maybe give me one. There's a term called faleslichkeit. The mensch is faleslich. He's reliable. But what? Trustworthy. Yes, but I like faleslich. You're right. Trustworthy, reliable. He's faleslich. You can trust him. You can rely upon him, right? So a chaver is someone who is faleslich. An am haaretz is not. Says the Gemara, Hakol chaverim heimetzel b'dikas chametz. Every person is faleslich that what? The night of the 14th, he checked that apartment. And therefore there's no suffix. And therefore the guy who rented it on the 14th does not have to check. Because Hakol chaverim, when it comes to chametz, because the severity of chametz, people are their belief. Hakol chaverim heimetzel b'dikas chametz. The Tanya, chava shemes, v'niach begurim leia peris. This is regarding Maisa. Did he take off Trumas and Maisa? Now he's a chava. That means he's faleslich regarding the halacha of taking off Trumas and Maisa. Afilu heim b'nei yomin. Even if that day was the day that they were kaiveya le'inyan Maisa, that they went ahead and did miruach hakri. They took the kri and they smoothed it down. That creates the chalois of the chiyuv to go ahead and take off Trumas and Maisa. He's a chava for that. Harihim b'chesed mutakanim. Even though he died that day. What we believe him? Why? Because a chazaka that he won't let something out of his hands unless he what this. So now, if he's a chavel like that le'inyan Maisa, when we say a person's a chavel le'inyan b'dikas chametz, he won't let an apartment go out of his hands unless what is in the scenario of what of being checked. Maybe it's different over here. Maybe forget the chazaka. Maybe because guys, obviously these guys talk. If it talked, they should talk. They said something. Maybe the reason we believe it is because we have their edus. Says Gemara, do we give any substance or credibility to their edus? We don't give any substance or credibility to their edus. Elamadi going to say, "My the cheskasei badik, haya kol ne'emanim has nothing to do with ne'emanim. It has nothing to do with them. What are you telling me now, guys? You're saying the following. They're believed to say that this house was checked. So maybe it's believed not because there's a chazak in the house. Maybe it's believed because we have edus. Says the Gemara, you're going to believe them? Says the Gemara, so if you're not going to believe them, then why is it? Why doesn't the guy have to do a bedika? Because cheskasei badik. But what's the lashon? Hakol ne'emanim. Everyone's believed, meaning it's them that create this the arena of kashrus. It's them that's right, because it says hakol ne'emanim. But in fact, It's not true. It's all houses are Becheskes Badik at this period in time because the night of the 14th passed and people checked. So the wording of the Brisa is incorrect. When it says everyone is believed albir chametz, it's not true. It's nothing to do with anyone. It has to do with the fact that the guy's going to check his house. So it's the house Becheskes. That's the Morris Kasha. Let's go all the Kasha. Haya kol ne'amanim kol abatim Becheskes Badukim Barbasim Bailei. Elamai, what are you going to say? Mishum Amir Dahani. You're going to say, okay, let's go the other way around. It says Hakol Ne'emanim, yeah? So why we believe? Because of these guys. Holoi Amri Hani, why the guys didn't say anything? Loi. Guys, in other words, you have to go both directionally. It's Memon of Shach. There's two possible ways to go ahead and say, if you rent the house on the 14th, you don't have to check. Either because you have Edis or because you have Chazaka. So now, if you tell me you have Chazaka, you don't need Edis. And if you tell me Edis, then you don't need Chazaka. So how does this work out, right? How does this work out? What? We're saying everyone's a chava, but again, that would be great, you'd see, if you would bring in these Hakol Ne'emanim, these people. No, but they're not. They're not. No, it doesn't say that. It's Hakol Ne'emanim to go ahead and check the house. In other words, it doesn't mean their belief to say it was checked, but it's not that Hakol Ne'emanim to say that, but they're not chaverim. They're not chaverim. Says the Gemara anyway. I'll say the chazaka. Now, if we have the chazaka, so back to the original question. It's the house that's in the state of what? Of kashrus, not what the people. In other words, stamazoy. Stamazoy, your house is cheskes badik. Hakol chaverim eitzel what? B'dikas chametz. Everyone is a chava eitzel b'dikas chametz. It's so chametz, people are going to check the house. That's it. What do you mean in this scenario that you're soimich on the what? On the woman and the avodim? This house is not b'cheskes badik. The guy left a month ago. The guy's not home. The guy's torrid. The guy's in the hospital. What's the cheskes badik? That he was there the night of the 14th checking, right? You don't have the chazaka. The chazaka is chazaka normally. Normally it is. But over here you don't have it. In that scenario, we'll believe what? They'll believe them to go ahead and testify. So that's speaking that specific scenario. Says the Gemara, we're speaking in Kimta, we're speaking in a special case. The muchsik lon the loy badak. It's muchsik that it wasn't checked. The ka'amri hani but kinan, and they said it checked. So now the tema loy lam nur rabbanon. I might think the rabbanon don't believe them. Kimash malon, guys, key line. Even the bedikas chametz with the rabbanon. Who? Why? The midaraisa bebitel ba'alma sagile. Since midaraisa, it's enough to do bitel. Himnu rabbanon midrabbanon. Rabbanon believe them in the rabbanic situation. You have a double the rabbanon, right? You have a double himnu the rabbanon believe them in the rabbanic situation. Now we're going to get back to this bitel exactly what this is, but Yankel brought up a very good point. Well, what's the thing we're talking about? We have a klal, eid echad nema bisurim. You go to my house, yeah? I'm not assuming you will eat there, but maybe some of you will eat there. I invite you over to eat. Not many, I'm not inviting you. Don't get excited. So now, that you assume that. Now, what do you eat? How do you know it's kosher? How do you know it's kosher? Right. Your wife tells you she's tahar. How can you live with your wife? Right? They believed in that. They believe in a situation when they can go ahead and correct the scenario. When they can go ahead and a woman is believed to say that shechita is a good shechita. Why? She can shecht. An Eved is believed to say it's good shechita. He could shecht. When it's biyodai to do something, they're believed. Could they check the house? Sure. So therefore, it strengthens the kasha. Why shouldn't they be believed? Why did you have to come on to what and say this is the rabbanon they believe? We have a big rule. And for Taisus, look at this Taisus teretz, guys. The Taisus in New Rabbanon, the Rabbanon, right? The first wide line. Mikol mokoim gabi v'dikas chametz afagav the biyadayim. Even though they can possibly check mikol mokoim, nonetheless, yihavi midaraisa. If it was daraisa, loim himninan. We wouldn't believe them. Mishum tirchi serasa. It's a big pain. Tzarich dig the gadol, and to check for chametz, you need a dig the gadol. No. No, just again, shchita. Tray-fish checking is the second.
No, but she says the food's not kosher in the kitchen. Now I have to go get a new behemoth to serve my guests.
That's not a tircha. She found a treifa. A tircha means the actual. You think about it. Shchita, how long does it take the shech? 5 seconds, 10 seconds. How long does it take the shech? Right? Again, but to go ahead and do b'tikas chametz takes a long time.
So right to the Hungarian way of cleaning.
It was more.
We don't mention that word in share. Cleaning. Anyway, why the Hungarian way of cleaning?
Yeah, they do a whole,
Why do you think Litvaks and Polish people don't?
Because they're not too clean.
And I can't believe I missed you, Aaron. Says the Gemara. So,
maybe if you never do delivery of size.
Library of seasons.
but yeah, listen. Anyway, so Rashi says a big Yisod. Rashi tells us Yisod that over here, if it was the Raisa, you won't believe. It's only because of the Rabbanan. Only because of the Rabbanan, because again, it depends on the Isser, depends on the amount of Tircha. Okay, let's do a little bit more, and then we'll come back to this. I want to come back and speak about Bittul a little bit. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. Iboilu Hamaska ba'is lechaveiroi b'cheskas boduk. If someone goes ahead and rents a house to his friend, and b'cheskas boduk, right? Umatzu sheina boduk, and he finds it's not. So you thought it was checked, and you find, you go, you rent, you walk in, you open the pantry, and there's a pizza sitting there, right? Right. It's not even pizza time. It's not even hot. Mahu. Ni abikemeka tois. Can you tie the deals off? Allah, you or not? Or not? Toshma. The Amar Abaya, Loimi boy ba'asra, the loyave igra, upatgo the nichalele inchi, lukume mitzvah gufe. It seemed to be there were either ways people would pay people to go ahead and clean, or you do it yourself. So let's say he is renting in a place where you usually do it. Good. So what's he going to taina? He's going to taina. I thought it was budnik and it's not. I want the deal to be off. Nichale for a person to go ahead and do the mitzvah. Obviously, this is before the 14th. This is, guys, before the 14th. Like Tyson says, it's before the 14th. Before there's a chalois on what on the balabus. So you rented it. You showed up you showed up in your gimel. You thought it was bad. It was check. You thought it was buduk, and it's not. Can you go demand your money back? And the answer is, since it's a place where people b'derech teva want to do the mitzvah of checking, you can't hand mekach tais. Because mekach tais is, had I known, I wouldn't have done it. But this is a place where you check, so you can't taina. Had I known, there's nothing to taina. Now it takes even one more step. El afilu ba'asrei diyov igro batko. Even a place where you pay the cleaning ladies to go ahead and clean. The nichalei inchi lekiyume mitzvah b'mayne, you still can't taina mekach tais. Why? Because you'd rather do the mitzvah with your money. So in other words, you're finding it that you thought it was baduk. And you find it's not baduk, you have an opportunity to do the mitzvah, either yourself physically or by paying someone to do it. Therefore, since we have that intact, we don't go ahead and say it's a mekach tais, and you would not be able to go back in the deal. Okay, so let's go back to this Rashi. What do you mean that midaraisa bittul ba'al masagile, and what does it mean that what the one is the other one? Now, the chametz is a very, very. Again, when you don't think, if you stop and think about it for a few minutes, it's really, really, really bizarre. Where do you find a din of A, you can't eat it, B, it's asa b'hana, 3, there's a isser of b'yira, 4, there's a b'yimatzeh, and 5, there's a mitzvah of tashbisu. I mean, it's unbelievable what is associated with the amount of mitzvahs with chametz. Think about what do we do with chametz? What we do with chametz? First of all, you clean. Second of all, you mavatal. Third of all, you go to the rav and you sell it, and then you go ahead and make a fire and burn it. Right? It's unbelievable. What exactly is what's involved in that? How does that all come together? What exactly? So let's start first of all with, and what's this in the bittul? What does bittul accomplish? So the pasuk says, "Ach b'yom harishon tashpisu sa'ar mevatechem." The first day. Now we need a limit. The first day is not tesvav. B'yom rishon, guys, is Yudalit, right? Yeah, we're gonna need a limit for that. Yes, you guys, you hear? Ach b'yom rishon is Yudalit. It's not tesvav. Good. We're gonna have a limit for that. So on the first day, what do you do? Tashpisu. What? How do you do tashpisu? What does tashpisu mean? Says Rashi, guys, the bittul ba'alma. Says Rashi, dichsiv tashbisu. Says Rashi, guys, bittul is tashbisu. Bittul is tashbisu. The removal of chometz is tashbisu. V'loikasiv tivaru. It doesn't say tivaru to destroy it. The hashvasa deleiv hi hashvasa. And the removal of it from your mind is removal. Says Rashi, the bittul is the din of tashbisu. That's what you're doing. You're getting, when you do bittul chametz, you're doing tashbisu. That's it. You're mekayim tashbisu. That's what it is. So I go ahead, and usually you say it should be batel v'avehefka ka'afka da'ara. Says Rashi, by doing that, the emes, what have you done? What have you accomplished? You removed it from your rishus. That's the bittul chametz, according to Rashi, is tashbishu. That's what it is. That you have to go ahead and burn it afterwards. Hey, we'll see. Okay. Taisvis, midiraisa bittul ba'al masagi, pirish bekunchis, midichsiv tashbisu, v'loy kasiv tavaru. When it says tashbisu and it doesn't say loy tavaru, alma hashvasa belevi. We see hashvasa is belev. The koshalari, the high hashvasa havarahi. This hashvara is physical removal, v'loy bittul, and not bittul b'machshava. It really means, in other words, you have a machloikis Rashi in places, guys. When it says in the Torah, "Uvayoyim rishon tashbisu," you should remove it. What does that mean? Says Rashi, means believe. Means believe. The Rambam also says that. It means believe. Do you remove it? You remove it, believe in your mind. Just remove it. Machshava. Says Taisus, what are you talking about? Tashbisu means to physically burn the chametz. It means to remove it from this world. That's what it means. It means you have to remove it from this world. So what is bittul? What is bittul? Says Taisus, go down. V'oimeri midaraisa bittul ba'al masagi. Midaraisa bittul alone is enough. Midaraisa bittul alone is enough. Mitam the mi'acha shebitloi havi hefker yatzim shusay. As soon as you mevatel, it's hefka and it leaves you rishus. So according to Tosfos, the din of bittul is to go ahead and just get it out of your rishus. You shouldn't be over in bal yiroy and bal yimatzeh. What does bittul do? It says it's not mine anymore. I have this in din tashbisu. I have to go ahead and I have to destroy. I have to go ahead and destroy. On the other hand, that's a machloikas Rashi and Tosfos what tashbisu means. Good. According to Rashi, it means bittul. According to Tosfos, it means physical removal. According to Rashi, bittul is believe and it does everything. According to Tosfos, all bittul does is it takes care of bali rabbi matzah. You're being mafkarit, but it doesn't take care of the tashbisu. You still would have to go ahead and do it. Okay. So now let's go back to that first Rashi. I told you in the Masechta. Big machloikas Rashi and Tosfos in the beginning of the Masechta. It says Orla arba asa, right? La oraner boitkes es a chametz oraner. The Gemara mefarish taima boitkin says Rashi shlo yavra love bal yiroy bal yimatzeh. The reason you do bedika is you shouldn't be over on bal yiroy bal yimatzeh. Says Tosfos Pirsha Kuntris shlo yavra love bal yiroy bal yimatzeh v'kosh shlari. Keeping the tzarich bittul kam b'Gemara, since you need bittul, right? Haboy the tzarich shivatel umidoraisa bebittul ba'al masagi amayit shichu chacham bedika klal. Why would you need bedika at all? According to Tosfos, bittul takes care of the bal yiroah bal yimatzah, correct? According to Rashi, it doesn't. According to Rashi, right? It's tashbisu. But I'm saying that hitzru chacham bedika. So Tosfos says v'nira l'ri that even though bittel's enough, the chacham will machmir. So it's a din midrabanan. What? Bittul. Okay, now bittul is believed. Now this is very, very, very important right now. It actually is bringing up the Ran in the sugi. Now I did post I did send it out. The Ran. I don't know if Steve inverted it. I'm gonna look at if you have a Ran in Masechta, go back to the Ran. It's the what? I have it on the I have it on the Zoom. If you're zooming, you can get it. Okay, if you have the Zoom, I posted it on the screen. Guys can see it. Ken, you can see it? Okay, good. The Ran is coming to Miyasha Rashi, and he's gonna help us out with all the shittas. So again, according to Rashi, bittul is tashbisu. According to Taisvis, bittul is just no being mafkir completely. So the Ran is elakach ikran shel devarim. If you have a regular masechta, it's the wide lines and it's black letters. Elakachu ikran shel devarim. This is the ikra of this is kind of a synopsis of the bittul tashbisu sugya. When it says tashbisu, guys, yochol b'hiskayim be'echad mebeit dvarim. You're able to fulfill it in one of two ways. One of two ways. Oy sheyivata b'libay kol chometz sheyesh b'rishus. Either with your lave, like Rashi, with your lave to mevatel any chometz I have in my rishus. That you would be ach biyom rishon tashbisu. Says the Ran. You could do that if you go ahead and you say v'yotzienu, right? V'yotzienu. Someone's showing me here. And v'yotzienu b'machshavasei mishutzai, and you take it out of your mind. This, you just forget who it is.
I don't have the.
Right. Okay, and the sagi b'achim.
Sorry. Sorry. 1 second.
Okay, yes, don't worry, it's all being taped. Anyway, for posterity's sake.
I'll go at it. 1 second.
Why don't you just turn off the sound, Heshi? Now, in other words, guys, midoraisa, if you would be mevatel it, you've been mekayim tashbisu. Afilu chometz hayedulo, even chometz that you know about. Oy im loy bit loy believe like kal. So now, the other way of tashbisu is if you don't not mevatel, then sarach min atarish yivdak achrav b'chol makom shehu. Then you have to do bedika. Says the Ran, you don't have to do both. You have to do either or. You don't have to do both. You have to do either or. Those are the two possibilities for tashbisu. Right. B'chol makom shehu ragli matzei sham. V'yavarenu min ha'olam. Ubebir zeh hu shenechu b'mayavarenu. And this is machlekes later on, guys. We're gonna have the sugya. Do you burn it? Do you crumble it up and throw it to the wind? We'll see it. Ulefikach kol shein mevatel. Anyone who doesn't do bittul, chayev livdoik. Tosfos holds what if you do bittul, you don't have to do bedikas all the rabbanon. He holds if you don't do bittul, you have a chayev deraisa to do bedika. In other words, the Ran is mechadish. Bedika is the act of tashbisu. It's a deraisa tikadin. Why? Because you didn't do bittul. You can either or. Now, kadesh lo yavar bal yirah bal yimatzeh. Ulefika kosav Rashi. Why do you do bedika? Why? Because you didn't do bittul. You didn't do bittul. That's why Rashi holds you have to do bedika. Because bedika is how you can get rid of bal yirah bal yimatzeh. That's a person who wasn't mevatel. Aval misha mevatel sagi b'hachil, like Tosfos said. That would be enough. Ella, if they say bittul zeh tali b'machshavas and shel b'nei adam. Since bittul is tali in the machshava of a person, v'yein de usan shabbos, and not everyone's mind is so equal when it comes to what being v'yefsha sheyakilu b'kach. I got a bottle of expensive scotch that I don't want to say goodbye to. Right, a person might be nikol, v'lo yatsi enem libam legamri, and you won't go ahead and get rid of it. Ro chachamim lahachmir. The chachamim felt that what. You have to be machmir. Shlo yaspik bittul. It's not enough to do bittul. It's vichur b'tika. So times out like this. Let's go. Says Rashi, when you do bittul, you mekayim the mitzvah lot of tashbisu, and really you removed it, and everything should be great, right? Yet Rashi says on the Mishnah you have to do bedika. Yet he says the other place bittul is enough. Says the Ran, you're right. If you did a good bittul, you won't have to do bedika. We're worried that what. You didn't do a good bittul because it's totally what? And you're machshava. Mela, you have to do bedika. What's the purpose of the bedika? according to Rashi, because if you don't do bittul, the bedika is not deraisa, and therefore you want to say you shouldn't come here by your matzah. Taisa says no, it's either or, bittul or bedika. So once you do a bittul, you don't need a bedika. So that's what you have to find it.
Rashi says, if you say kachamir, you still have to do bedika. Rashi, according to Rashi, if you say kachamir, you still have to do bedika.
Yeah, because the chama machmir. That's what we said. The chama machmir, because since not every person is capable of knowing what it is, so it really comes out there's two machlokas in. This machlokas in what is what is tashbisu? Is tashbisu a physical act? Or is tashbisu a mental act? And then there's a machlokas with bittul according to the rice, right? And that so that machlokas would again, if you hold like Tosfos that bittul is the kuli alma, then bedika is all the rabbanim. Like Rashi, it's like the way the Ran explains Rashi, can design this, it's sad that the bedika b'deraisa if you don't do the bittul. That would be.
According to the Ran, how would the Rabbanon have a right to believe someone who's not a reliant person? Right? Because they said we will believe you because it's Rabbanon, so we have a right to believe.
Cheskos again, the Gemara says
not the Rabbanon, it's not right, so the Rabbanon didn't have a right to believe.
again, we would saying midaraisa to get in is cheskos badik. Yeah, that's after you check. That's after you check.
No, we're presuming that you did it according to Tosfos.
According to Tosfos, what?
According to the Ran, what you just said, right?
Yeah.
That
The Ran is not
if you
explaining Tosfos. The Ran is coming to explain Rashi.
The way he explains Rashi, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't do a good bit,
If you want mevatel correctly,
right,
and then the
the
bedika,
bedika's not the right, not the wrong.
the bedika is not the raisa, right?
Yeah. So what's the, but our Gemara also said, right, the Maraisa Vintel the Alma, Sagili, and then Rabbanon, because this is the Rabbanon rule of Bedika altogether, then they have a right to go and say, we'll be more makel than we believe.
So give me a kahati.
You said there's a scenario
Give me,
where it's not.
yeah, give me a kahati, please. The kahati is kasha. The kahati is kasha. The Mayir Aleph Shimon. No. He's going to kasha. So no, it's like places. Why is it 2 off, right? Why is the bedika 2 off?
Legal makes it serious. Bittul doesn't do it, like you find a bottle of liquor. You know, what did we get rid of it?
Depends if the person has a drink of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do bedika, you're not gonna throw that bottle of scotch out either. What is bedika?
Drink it, you don't have the problem.
You still have the same problem.
Drink it right then.
You want the bottle, you can do bedika, never think you're not gonna take the bottle.
The Hashvasa that the Torah says the ikar is to physically remove it, and the ain dai bittul. It's not enough to do bittul. It's not enough to do bittul. And when the Gemara says shebittul b'leiv moil, right? The Torah says yakasha. How does bittul help? You're telling me like Tosfos that you have to physically remove it, and bittul is not enough. So what does bittul do? Hainu b'Torah's hefker shlo yavar adam b'yirah b'yimatzah. You wouldn't be kind. There's 2 mitzvahs over here. There's mitzvah by Yerah by Yematzah, and the mitzvah is Tashbisu. The bittul would help that if you do find that you won't be over on that, but you won't be kind of the mitzvah of Tashbisu, of destroying it. There's a din of you can't have chametz in your rishus, correct? So what does bittul do? Bittul makes sure that I won't be over in Bal Yerusas. When the Gemara says bittul b'raisa sagi, not for the din of Tashbisu, which the Ran is discussing. The Ran is only discussing the mitzvah of Tashbisu. Good. Tosfos answers, and so you're asking. So according to that, the bedika is right. The bedika is to get rid of it. Tashbisu, you have to do that. So what do you need bittul then? What the bittul does, it doesn't take care of the tashbisu problem. It takes care of the bal yirah bal yimatzah problem. That would be the answer. Chananya ben Akashai meretza kodesh baruch hu zakas says Yisrael lefikach hem taymish never nachbeit zman said koi yagdol Torah v'yadir.
Thank you.